So without further ado, our first company today is Springfield BackOffice, and we'd like to welcome Josh Spurlock.
All right. Good morning. I'm Josh Spurlock, and I'm here to make your life easy and keep your business fun. Sounds like a deal, right? Springfield BackOffice was created for that purpose. You know, I have a chronic condition, sickness, kind of, that is probably shared by some in this room. That is, I can't help myself from starting new businesses. I've tried to stop. I've talked with my wife about it. I've sought out help, but there's no recovering, I don't think. I just keep seeing needs that are unmet and gaps in the marketplace, and then I'm compelled to do something about it. So I've started dabbling in a number of different ventures over the last, since I was 16 is when I started my first small business. And in the course of dabbling and being in a bunch of different businesses, I found there were parts of my businesses that I loved, parts of it that I was passionate about, the things that got me excited, the things that I started the business to begin with, things that interested me. I wanted to learn more, wanted to develop better, wanted to pursue. And then there were those other parts of running a business, the parts that instead of energizing me, kind of sucked the life out of me. The necessary evils for keeping the business functional and happening, things like daily bookkeeping type stuff, things like bringing the vision that I had for our marketing materials or websites into actual tangible reality. I like thinking about it. I like coming up with the idea. But I don't like so much actually coding or developing, or liking finding technology solutions to problems that we had, but actually implementing all the legwork involved in setting up, installing, plugging in cables, troubleshooting software bugs. All that kind of stuff was not my forte. Wasn't energizing for me, wasn't exciting to me. And yet, it comes along with starting a business, right? It's not all fun and games. There's the things that we love, but then there's the things about running business that we don't love so much. So I wanted a solution to that for myself. And I began kind of shopping and trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I do that? None of my ventures at the time were really big enough to warrant hiring like an in-house staff to do these things for me. I just didn't have enough volume in any of those areas to justify carrying a staff person to do that. And I kind of looked at different contracted options out there, contracting with this organization to take care of this need and contracting with this organization or group for that need. And it just was not integrated in the way that I wanted. I wanted something that, what I wanted was a full staff of my own, right? I wanted a full team, that I had departments that I could think up the ideas, talk through, plan, have planning meetings, hand off, let them run with it, come back, work on it some more. And I just didn't have the resources to really do that at the stage that I was at within my companies. And so I started thinking, how in the world could I achieve that? How can I achieve having all those personnel kinds of resources that I wanted in order to do the things that I wanted to do in my businesses, in order to allow me to focus on the things that I was good at and that I enjoyed doing and why I got into those businesses to begin with, and allow others to handle the things that I'm not any good at and I don't enjoy doing and make my life as a business owner not fun. And I thought, I don't have enough volume to do that myself within my business or the different businesses that I've got going, but maybe I've got friends that share a sickness with me, and they've got businesses, and they're kind of in the same predicament. They've got the parts of the business they love and want to focus in, and these other parts exist. And maybe collectively, as a group, me and my buddies, me and my business owner and entrepreneur friends, we could support a staff. Like we could hire a staff that we could share as a group of entrepreneurs that could help us with our back office tasks so that we can focus on our front office. This idea began to kind of germinate and brew in my mind over a period of months and a couple of years, and began to do what any good entrepreneur does when he gets an itch like that doesn't go away. He decides to start a company in order to scratch it, right? And so that's where Springfield BackOffice came from. We created a company to house a staff to support entrepreneurs and small business owners by providing the back office support that they need at the scale that they need it, so that they can have access to the talent in the same fashion they would if they were an in-house staff, as far as a personal interaction, same faces, same people, to be able to sit down, plan, hand off tasks to, but on a pay-as-you-go, as-needed basis. That way, they had all the support they needed to be able to not get tied up in the aspects of their business that they didn't enjoy and they weren't any good at, and free up their time and energy to pour into those things that they were good at and they did enjoy. So that's kind of the base concept for Springfield BackOffice. That's where we came from. That's the need that we're born out of to meet. Springfield BackOffice serves as my support to all the different ventures and things that I dabble in and pursue and enjoy doing. They make my life easy, keeping my businesses fun, and endeavor to do that for other folks in the area also. Currently, we serve about 24 to 30, what? 25. Okay, so we got 25 small businesses, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits that we provide back office services to. Which, let me introduce John and Simon up here. You can see them kind of say hi. These are a couple of the team at Springfield BackOffice. And so, yeah, we've just kind of slowly grown out, adding on companies to provide services like daily bookkeeping and accounting type needs, IT troubleshooting, and technology implementation. So looking for technology solutions to problems that the business owner is facing, helping them identify the right solution, then helping them implement it within their business. So do that. Creative services. A lot of these services, I started out attempting to do completely in-house. We're in a minimum viable product stage of our startup, and my minimum viable product was too big, and that I was trying to do too much at one time, and so just instead of doing all the things that I attempted to do at first in-house, we've shifted to a model of consulting to where we partner with other organizations and companies to accomplish the needs that the business or entrepreneur has, and serve as a single point of contact for accomplishing all of those things. So that's kind of in a nutshell, SBO, what we do, where we come from, who our target market is. What I'm hoping to get today from interacting with a group of people that maybe share a sickness with me, and thus have some of the same needs that birth SBO, is feedback about how can the organization, the back office company, Springfield BackOffice, serve the needs of your business, and that some feedback that helps me kind of tweak the machine to continue to better serve entrepreneurs.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Josh, can you tell us a little bit about, we totally get the vision. Can you tell us a little bit about the product, how much it costs? Is it scaled out? Can an entrepreneur or a local business do just some of your services, or is it a full suite? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. The idea has been from the start to fix the problem of a fixed overhead expense from the vantage point of hiring in personnel that you don't necessarily have enough work to do to keep them busy, and so they're twiddling thumbs, and you're hearing the cash register go ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching as they're sitting there. At least that's what I hear anyways when I see people that are on the clock twiddling thumbs. I hear ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching in the back of my head. And so it's all as needed, pay as you go. It's a membership service, and so you sign up to be a member of Springfield BackOffice, which gives you access to all the personnel, the staff. You have a package or plan of the number of hours you think that you are going to need in the course of a month. And so you sign up for that. That way we can staff appropriately to meet everybody's needs. And then you only pay for what you use. And so any time that you don't use rolls over to the next month and you can use it, because in any small startup, demand goes up and down. Sometimes you're slammed and you need extra support and help, and at other times you don't need so much. So right now our pricing model sets up at a flat $35 an hour. And so compared to, I think we did a recent survey of like a CPA firm bookkeeping services, and ranged between 75 and 95 an hour for daily bookkeeping kinds of stuff. And so pretty competitive as far as meeting that need for the small business owner. That answer the question?
Yes, tell me,
Maybe?
obviously the competitive landscape is quite large. What makes you guys unique? And then on top of that, how do you plan to scale and grow bigger?
Sure. What makes us unique, I think, is the personal nature and the breadth of services that we offer. That in a startup, everybody wears multiple hats, right? And that your staff is too small to have, really clearly defined roles, that your function is to do this and only this, and here's the task. And we've got somebody else that does this and somebody else that does that. In startups, you've got a handful of people and everybody does this and that and the other and everything that they can do. And you need that flexibility. You need to be able to talk with somebody and say, okay, I've got you doing this project or task. For example, one of our members, they've got a construction industry type business. We do bookkeeping type stuff for them, but they're on the side an inventor of sorts. They kind of dabble in these different kind of inventions that they have created. And they're busy in their day job. They need somebody that can just do research for them on the side and collect data and make phone calls and price out materials and do all that stuff. And nobody in their construction crew can adequately do that. They don't have the time to adequately do that. And so one of our team does that for them. We get on the phone, we make phone calls, we collect data information, put it into a brief, and then sit down and meet with that owner and say, here's the pricing on rubber. John here has become like a area expert on different kinds of rubber for this particular person, which, as an inventor, as an entrepreneur, you just need somebody that can do that. And where do you find that? Where do you find somebody that can do that function or task for you on an as-needed basis? SBO.
You talked about how this idea was kind of born out of your needing these services, but not being able to support the staff that's necessary.
Right.
This is a really neat idea, kind of a la carte purchasing for this stuff. How do you handle the ramp up and ramp down of having the actual, skilled people in your, sphere of influence or, net to pull from when you're having clients scale up and scale down? How do you prepare for that? How do you handle it?
Exactly. And that is one of the challenges that we faced at first, and as we're kind of tweaking through our model and figuring out how do we address those things, the way that we've come up with and that we currently address that, and again, we're in a MVP stage startup, so everything's in flux and growing and changing and tweaking, and so it's not like we have an established model that this is how it's been for the last 10 years. But what we currently do is we have businesses identified based on historical usage, kind of the bracket that they fall in, as far as 4 hours a month, 10 hours a month, 40 hours a month. Here's kind of their average usage, and we put them into a package where that's what they subscribe to on a monthly basis. And then if one month they use 25 instead of 40, the excess rolls over to the next month, and then they're able to use that in the month that they do have the spike. And so it gives us a steady cash flow for the business that's predictable, while at the same time allowing the business owner to have the flexibility of use it as they need it and kind of pool it for those heavier times. And if their trending of usage goes down, you can always adjust the package down so that it's not a fixed thing and there's no contracts. You're not locked in for any period of time or at any given rate. So allows flexibility for the business owner and predictability for us cash flow wise.
Josh, do you ever foresee monthly subscription services?
Yeah, that's what it's currently set up at. It's a membership, annual subscription, and then a monthly subscription rate of number of hours that are purchased for use.
Yeah, Josh, being in the position you are with that sickness, one of the people that I've worked with a number of times in the past is a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. Tell me the difference between you and them.
We're virtually actually here, so you can touch us and see us. That's basically, at least, we have a broader breadth of kinds of services than a virtual assistant, but we can fulfill that function as far as the needs of that. Only you're working with a local person who's you can sit across the table from, who's English as a first language, and whom you can hand off tasks to, and then you can actually sit down beside them and look them in the face and see if they're getting what it is you're talking about or not. And so there's more of a personal kind of interaction. And you're going to be able to pick up a virtual assistant for $13 to $20 an hour versus $35 an hour. So it's going to be more expensive. That's an aspect of it. But you also got a real person locally that you're working with. John will pick up your mail also. I know it sounds odd, but you have some of these different services that folks need. We got a business owner who travels, let's say, and he's out of town for a period of time. He just needs somebody to go get his mail, open it, and then scan it into PDFs and email it to him so that he could review what he needed without physically having to do that or have an aunt or cousin or whatever do that. And so we went while he's out of town, we pick up his mail, we scan it in, and email it to him, and boom, that's done for him.
How have you found up until now the best way to find those people that need your services? In other words, a lot of times the people that would need your service would be the very people that wouldn't know where to go
Sure.
to start with.
Right, yeah. Word of mouth is how we grow the most, and that is just, I have buddies, right, that share a sickness, and we enjoy talking business and talking entrepreneurship, and they have people in their circle that they enjoy talking about, and when they're really enjoying the service that they're getting, they like having the utility of that. We tend to talk about things we like, whether it's our new tech gadget or toy or service or whatever. And so when we're able to provide something that folks aren't able to get someplace else adequately, we've just seen that kind of spread. We've pursued some other kinds of marketing routes, but that's been the most effective for us.
Gosh, is this on? Oh. Josh, I heard your introduction and you mentioned, things like IT support, and I saw your visual there. I mean, there's web design in there, there's, creative, very competitive businesses, and it's very diverse as well. How do you keep up with all of that, or would you sort of describe your business as a kind of a service broker?
Yeah, the model has kind of changed into more of a service broker kind of. At first, we housed those in-house, and we had for example, when it comes to creative services, we had an in-house creative department, we had a videographer, a couple of designers, a web programmer, and we had that in-house as part of our team and sort of work with. But what we found is that wasn't the best way to serve our members because, especially when it comes to creative stuff, if you limit your creative options to a couple of creative minds within our team, then there's a lot of creative potential that exists out there that may better suit the needs of a given member than just the creative minds that we have on our team. And so we've kind of shifted to being a project manager for those kinds of things for the entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur has one single person that they can sit down with, describe what their goals are, have a discussion about what is it you're trying to accomplish this, what do you have in mind, paint me the picture of what it is. And then the project management person then translates that into creative talk, because if we've worked with design creative groups, we understand that oftentimes design creative groups or tech groups, for that matter, don't necessarily communicate in the same language. They've got their own jargon, their own kind of ideas that can create frustration between the business owner and the technical person and just crossing wires. And so the project management person is able to go out and identify either technical or creative talent that we think could best fit the needs as described to us of the entrepreneur, bring back the options and the different pricing points that they're at, and have a discussion about what they want to do or how they want to move forward.
Let's have a strange question.
Strange questions are okay.
As it comes to scalability, why did you name yourself Springfield BackOffice? As you get outside of the market, are you going to have to rebrand?
Right, we are going to have to rebrand, and you can look at our web address up here, and we're already working on rebranding as the back office company in that. And so our local kind of brand that we've started with, a regional brand, has been Springfield BackOffice in our kind of concept development stage. But as we look to scale outwardly, we'll do so under the name the back office company.
And then how are you able to accommodate clients on what you would call the face-to-face basis rather than the virtual basis if you're headquartered out of Springfield?
Well, as we scale outwardly, then we'll look to have local locations in other cities and areas that we serve.
You require a brick and mortar location in each of the markets?
Yeah, small footprint. You know, we do with a lot of our business owners, we go to them rather than them coming to us. I mean, again, we're out to make your life easy and keep your business fun. We're all like stinking busy, and who has time to kind of carve out space out of their schedule to go sit. And so we do video conferencing, phone calls, phone conferencing, physically go out to a job site or to an office or for a car ride with a entrepreneur from while he's running errands and taking notes and figuring out what it is they need to do. And so we do very little. We do some meetings at our physical office location and conference room area, but most of them happen phone, video, or us going to them.
It sounds to me like you guys would be better off in a co-working space.
Sure,
Hire out
right. Like
individuals
almost
and reduce
here
your
at the E
footprint.
Factory, right? It'd be great.
That's right,
you know.
exactly right. Guys, unless we have any other questions, we'll wrap up with the same question. How can we as a community help you?
Well, you guys are my people, right? You know, you guys are entrepreneurs, you're business owners. You get the difficulties that I'm talking about as well as the needs. And so much of Springfield BackOffice, especially at the beginning, was built through the lens of my needs as an entrepreneur and business owner. And then as we've added on members, the feedback from our members, what do you guys need? How can we help and serve you? And so the same question goes out to you guys. What are the questions that we need to address? What are the things that are going to be helpful? What are pieces of our model that we love that, that's great, can we do more of that? What are the pieces like, how's that going to work for my business? So feedback is invaluable to me at this stage.
Good deal. Thanks, Josh. Just a couple quick announcements before we jump into our next presenter. There's a bunch of seats up here in the front for those of you in the back standing up if you want to take a rest. As Josh just alluded to, feedback is invaluable. And as we build this event and this organization, one of our cruxes is that there is a lot of people here, so I think a lot of people get a little timid. There isn't a wrong question. So if you have questions, ask them. If you have comments or suggestions, literally, I couldn't have prefaced this better. The feedback is invaluable, and that's really why we're here. We're here to foster the growth of these businesses. So I know you guys are all thinking about things. I get a lot of comments before, afterwards. Don't bring those comments to me. Bring them directly to the entrepreneur. Don't let me be that filter. So whatever it is, good, bad, ugly, we keep it pretty clean and kosher here. But let's continue to do that way. So thank you, Josh. Couple quick announcements as always. The SGF Collective, MATA Real Estate Investor Group, they're on our email list. If you're not on our email list, if you register or you go to our website, just pop your information in there and we'll send you out a weekly email with our presenters and some other community information. Just a couple quick shout outs. We have some international love in the house today. We got a group of Brazilian students in the back. And a good friend of mine from Saudi Arabia is visiting us today, Fahad. Mesfer is there as well, and Manaish, all students at Missouri State and or Drury. So that's fun, and there will be more students joining us in the fall and spring semesters from Missouri State and Evangel. And to get to our next presenter, a good friend of mine from years back, definitely a serial entrepreneur. Right now, his company is Legal Leads and Austin Story. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thanks so much for coming out today and for giving me the opportunity to talk to a bunch of other entrepreneurs that are here. I get really excited about businesses, and this is one that I've been running with for about a year and a half now. My name is Austin Story, and I'm with Legal Leads. We help attorneys turn public records on the internet into money. So here's my agenda for today. I'm going to start with a quick marketing video that we developed and we put out on our website, and then I'm going to go over the story of how we came to be, a little bit about the team, me and my partner, and then after that I'm going to move into what we do more specifically, talk a little bit about our market and some strengths and weaknesses, and then go for some future plans as we expand the business. So we'll start with the video. Being a lawyer is a pretty sweet deal. Yeah, so well, all right, guys, having technical difficulties. We have an awesome video. Please go watch it. We spent a lot of time on it. It'll get you excited, and there's a couple of funny things in there that I was hoping to bring up the energy a little bit with, but that's cool. So we'll just go on. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just keep going. All right, so super awesome video. Into the next slide. Okay, so I'm Austin Story, and some of you may know me from Tech Savvy Business Solutions. We do technology outsourcing and high-end web application development down in Nixa. And then I have a client that's turned into a good friend and partner named Joel Harris. He owns a law office down in the Nixa area. He's also the judge down there. And how many people in the audience have a business that they do marketing for, whether they own or they actually, okay, yeah, Jeremy, you probably do this quite a bit. How many of you love going out and finding leads and then doing word merges and then printing those things off and then licking envelopes and putting them in the mail and sending them out to people? Nobody? Okay. Okay, so Joel gave me a call around Christmas of 2012, and he said, "Hey, Austin, I got a great idea." And that's not really how Joel sounds, but he's not here to defend himself, so that's how I'm going to make him sound right now. And he explained to me how he spends 4 to 5 hours a week between him and his staff going out to public records, finding people that have charges filed against them, putting them in a Word document, printing it out, and mailing those things out. And he's like, man, there just has to be a better way to do this. So we had a series of about 4 or 5 meetings, started a company, and we came up with a number of features. And this is the result of that. We have 2 separate subscriptions. Both of them are monthly plans. And our first one is called Silver. With that package, any attorney, any company really in the state of Missouri can say, hey, I want a list of every single DWI that was filed yesterday in Springfield. We send them a list of that every single day in a document that tells them everything between person's name, their age, what their offense was, and then also, you know, for the criminal stuff, if there was a warrant issued or executed against them. And then moving from there, we have our Platinum package, which adds several other areas to it. One is filtering. So the legal industry is unique in the sense that they have a lot of stipulations for ethics that they have to follow. And one of those is that they can't do business with certain people. So we allow them to put in the names of people, addresses, areas. You know, for instance, Joel can't solicit anybody in Nixa because he's the judge in Nixa. It'd be a big conflict. So we're able to filter those things out for him. And then the next one is the area that I'm the most excited about. It's where we have some areas of growth that we're developing right now. It's alerting, and that's called Client Tracker. So anybody is able to put in a name, an address, and get alerts on those people as they come up. We have several large law firms that use this because they used to pay a paralegal $15 an hour to just search public records all day for people's names. They'd have a list of 200 or 300 of these. Now they just put it in once, and they get alerts as they come through. Also, in the legal industry, you can't directly solicit somebody's business over the phone or through email unless you have a relationship with that person. So if you're a friend or family member. So what some attorneys will do is put the names of people they've worked with previously into the system, and then they will also put friends and family members from Facebook, and then when somebody gets a speeding ticket, they're able to call them and say, hey, look, I saw you got this. Do you need some help? Next one is compliance. Missouri Bar requires you to hold all of these solicitations for 2 years after you send them. We do that for them. And then the last area is what makes it super easy. So put in your settings, you say, hey, I want all the DWIs in Springfield. You set up your template, and then as these things come in, you just get a list that says, this is what was outsourced, and it literally gets put in the mail by a company that does address cleaning for you. So they go out to the postal service and they say, hey, is this person's address right now? And then the mail gets sent out. Business just shows up and got happy clients. And then from my side, put it all in a modern web browser that's beautiful, works well on tablets, phones, everything. Got pretty clickable buttons, because we want to make it easy for anybody that signs up to come in and make changes anytime that they want to. So how do we do this? I'm sure that a lot of you are familiar with mining. You've got a rock or dirt or something, and you've got something like gold or oil or something inside of that, and you want to extract it, so you go buy some equipment and hire some people that are really smart in order to extract that, and then you take it to market. Well, we do something similar, but instead of a rock, we have the internet. So we take a server, a computer, and teach it how to go out on the internet and gather records. And then over time, we make it intelligent so that we're able to extract specific data and do more intelligent ways of scraping that produces higher amounts of yield for our clients. So here's our market. Some of these are going to be pretty obvious. Legal leads, attorneys are our primary market. But we do have several other areas that use us. Marketing firms, so people that already service lawyers. They just are the middlemen in between us and the lawyer. And bail bondsmen, breathalyzer vendors. We have some very large breathalyzer vendors. Expert witnesses, substance abuse providers. And then the coolest one, we actually haven't found any of these yet, but when somebody gets too many DWIs, they can't drive a car anymore, but they can drive a 49cc moped. So if anybody knows a moped dealer, I'd love to talk to him. So here are our strengths. We have an insane return on investment. It is a silly number for our lawyers. Like when they send these out, it is absurd. I can't even say it because you think I was Austin Powers up here. It's completely automated and it's easy. Once it's set up, it just runs. And it's expandable into a couple other areas that I'll talk about in the future growth. Weaknesses. So currently just in Missouri, whether that's a weakness or not, right now we're just focusing on Missouri, getting our product really awesome. We'll expand it if it makes sense. And then no word of mouth. So there's only so many DWIs that get filed in Springfield or criminal cases. And lawyers are friends with other lawyers that are also their competitors. So if you have a system that's generating tons of business from this limited pool of criminal filings that are coming in, you're going to tell your friend because they're going to compete for you for the same business. So we have an awesome product, and our clients love to call in and talk to me and say, man, your product's awesome. I'm not going to tell anybody about it because I'm like, dang.
Thank you.
Okay, so future growth. Joel, my partner, super duper smart guy, and he had this idea about a week ago. We're expanding this out right now. It's going to be called Probation Monitoring Services, and it's just a twist on our client tracker. So the way that this is going to work is judges are going to be able to order people on supervised or unsupervised probation, and one of the stipulations is going to be they have to sign up for our service. And we're just going to do, most likely, we're still in the pricing stage, but probably a flat rate for them to sign up for our service. And then if their name comes into public records, we shoot an alert to the prosecutor or probation officer or whoever, just let them know that that came up. So pretty cool area. I'm super excited about this. We had a meeting last night kind of hashing out how it's going to look. So here's why we presented. This is a great opportunity. I think the key to building a community is coming in and sharing ideas that you're excited about. And also, we're looking for either a mentor or partner. On our sales side, that's where our weakest area is. We have a subject matter expert. I do tech stuff all day, and we need somebody that's really good at sales for software as a service. So if you know somebody that has experience building applications like this into more successful applications, love to talk to you. And we're looking to hire on salespeople. Okay, so best video in the entire world. After that, we talked about the story, how we were formed, how I have a tech company, and Joel's the lawyer. Explained how we do internet data mining. Talked about our market being lawyers, anybody that needs criminal leads, moped dealers, hopefully. Talked about our strengths and weaknesses being only in Missouri, and then future plans of growth with probation monitoring services. That's my contact information. Any questions?
Oh, really sorry about the technical
Okay,
difficulties there.
Go watch it. It's awesome, I promise.
Great recovery. Just to jump right in, I so much appreciate that you included a weaknesses slide. A lot of our presenters don't do that. But one of them was that you had to stay in the confines of Missouri. Explain why that is and then how you plan on tackling that problem.
Well, so right now, we're really not planning on tackling it. So to address the second question, because we're going to push into this probation monitoring services as the primary goal, we think there's a lot of upside there. But the main reason is these public records are formatted differently in every single state. So, the stuff looks one way in Missouri. We've already got a smart internet mining machine that can go out and grab that. It would be like teaching somebody Swahili whenever they speak English. It wouldn't be quite as complicated because we've already got the base system. But going into another state, we would have to analyze it, build all the data structures, teach the mining machine how it works, and then figure out the quirks of that system so that we can optimize it for that specific state.
Austin, do you have a subscription service, or people are buying this in a bulk rate? How does the pricing of the leads break down?
Flat rate, month-to-month subscription. So silver package is $99 a month, and the platinum package that does everything is $149 per month. And then there's a mailing charge that is a per piece, and that's through a local company, Ozark Mailing Services. And we're not even a piece of that pie. We just negotiate a really sweet rate from them, and we just forward everything on to them.
Austin, have you considered non-criminal areas of law, such as trademark filings or LLC filings?
Absolutely.
Stuff that I deal with a lot.
Absolutely. So, and it's not just criminal. So there's 5 areas of this. The criminal is just the easiest one to grasp. There's criminal charges that come in. There is municipal charges that come in. That's mainly like traffic violations and things like that. There's civil. That could be things like divorce. That's the main one that goes there. Then we have an area for probate. We don't actually have anybody using that, but we just go ahead and grab the data anyway. And then the 7th dwarf that I can't remember. That one's not as important, but it's mainly criminal and civil. So if you know an area where that stuff's public, let me know. And if it makes sense, we'll go ahead and start grabbing that data attached to our system.
You talked about the word of mouth problem where it's very affordable, but nobody's sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about making it insanely expensive to just 2 or 3 law firms and then making it exclusive to them?
Absolutely. So this is just this is our first software as a service company. I know my pricing model for Tech Savvy. I know how much it costs to support technology. Joel knows how to price out legal services. I think we are way underpriced for what we're providing here. I think we should be somewhere around the $500 a month range. But we've been building this up. We were even, believe it or not, cheaper than this when we first started, but we raised it up. People didn't bat an eye. I think we are way underpriced, but that's just, me and Joel being on the same page with the pricing for everything.
How exclusive is the technology? From what I've heard, it seems like you've got a very targeted search engine that picks up all these things, but is that a model that could be replicated easily, or are you satisfied that it's pretty?
So anything in technology can be replicated. It's just a series of decisions that I've made, but it's very, very good. So even other companies that if they were to go out and manually do this, pay somebody to just go out and scrape this stuff manually, they would get 30% less than what we get. because we've made several changes and I've monitored that data. Each of those changes cumulatively has resulted in 30% more than what if somebody was doing it manually. So it's we send our server to college, so it knows how to do stuff a little bit.
Hi, yeah. I have a similar service to this that I use for marketing leads, and I pay more than those lawyers pay, which is not fair. I was just wondering, have you thought about growth outside of this specific industry? I mean, and obviously you alluded to this just a minute ago. Be like teaching somebody Swahili. But have you thought about using the same core architecture and having areas of growth outside of data scraping areas of growth outside of just legal stuff?
Well, so the leads that we're getting, they're specifically filings that are public records in the state of Missouri. So it'd have to be somebody that's interested in that sort of data because it's specific to that. But if what you're asking is, have we considered moving into like marketing, and marketing to marketers? Yes, we have considered that, and it's one area that I think it's actually the only area where we've gotten sales. Up till now, we've just marketed this at conferences. There's a solo legal conference, and we went to a DWI conference, and then a year later we went to a solo conference again, which is down in Branson, held every year. That's all the marketing that we've done. Yeah, I mean, pretty amazing that we have the amount of traffic that we do with that. But the marketers are the only ones that have found us through the web and signed up. So every so often I just get a yabba dabba do on my phone that means somebody's signed up for my service, and then it ends up being somebody in the marketing industry.
Hey, Austin, with your pricing structure, when you started this, did you think about doing this more on an a la carte basis, kind of like what Josh is talking about in his presentation, or did you specifically decide that you wanted to do just a flat subscription rate? And if you did, why or why not?
So it was more arbitrary speculation on our end. When Joel came to me with this idea, he said, hey, let's build software that we sell to people. So like a one-time cost of like $1,500 or something like that. And then me being in the like a web application programmer, I said, well, no, I think this is an awesome way for us to just create a website. Somebody signs up, any changes that we need to make, and then they just pay a flat rate in order for it to come in. We thought about doing it as a price per lead, but this is just it was the easiest way to get something going, and at the price rate, I mean, it's super easy to sell. I mean, if really the thought process for somebody that needs this service, it isn't whether it's going to make sense. It's just are we going to need this data? Because if we need this data, then we need to subscribe to this. So,
Austin, talk to us about how big compliance is in this industry. I know that there's serious regulation on the way that attorneys and lawyers can advertise to their clients, and almost how that kind of opened the door for you to step in and allow them to outsource this lead generation.
Yeah, so compliance from the legal standpoint, I'm not a lawyer, first of all. But here's how I understand how this stuff works. You basically have a set of ethical guidelines that everybody that is a member of the bar in the state of Missouri has to follow. And the two main ones are, first and foremost for, if you're sending out these sort of solicitations, you have to keep it for 2 years. And then the other one is you can't directly solicit somebody, and this is actually just a little like an exception to that rule. The rule still is you can't solicit people, but the Supreme Court of Missouri decided, well, you can't solicit people unless you are sending them a message that they have something filed against them in the state of Missouri. So they look at this as more of a service of alerting people, and you'd be surprised at how many people other lawyers contact and say, hey, just letting you know, you got a warrant filed against you, and they're like, me? It's like, well, yeah, dummy. I mean, you got arrested 2 months ago. But that's really the main areas with it. So this is just a little niche where it's allowed, and Joel was using it and said, hey, there's got to be a better way to do this than me spending all this time and money doing it, and that's how this kind of came into existence.
I'm just curious. Maybe you said this and I already missed it. You talked about how you're just locked into Missouri right now. How much room do you have for growth from your customers? I mean, there's only a limited amount of lawyers in the state of Missouri, so can you talk about how much potential there is for growth? Okay, so with Missouri, there's 25,000 attorneys.
that are active bar members registered in the state of Missouri. I would think our market is really going to be more for the young attorneys. You know, the established people, they don't need this. You know, they got people coming to them that have been working with them for years. So I think our realistic expectation for the number of people that we could get signed up would be probably about 400 or 500. But 400 or 500, so maybe 50,000 a month from that for this service. But our growth really, I think, is going to come from the probation monitoring service because of the number of people. If we make this easy and it starts making sense for prosecutors to use this as a way to keep track and keep dibs on people that have like unsupervised probation, if we charge, let's say $25 flat rate, that's easy for the person to absorb. It gives the prosecutor a level of confidence that the person, if they do something in St. Louis, they're going to find out about it. And just in Nix alone, there's about 50 people per month. So a little tiny area.
You'd pass that cost on to the defendant.
Yeah. The person being assigned, it would be like they're signing up for, something. I'm not familiar with this stuff, but the judge would say, hey, you have to do this right here so we can keep dibs on you.
So it's very attractive to the courts because it's no money out of their pocket.
Exactly.
Austin, can you tell us a little bit, I know there's some huge competition in this market, how you are taking on the competition, the guys that are doing national, and then can you tell us a little bit about what makes your data mining device proprietary so an attorney isn't going to go out and hire a software company and to do the exact same thing that you're doing?
Okay. So I'll break that into two. The larger firms that do this nationally, they use us to get their data. So that's how we deal with them. They pay us and we just provide the data to them. So from a lawyer standpoint, you could pay a software developer to go out and collect these leads, and let's say you're getting 30% less. So there's still going to be 30% that are only going to get mail from our people. But on top of that, in order to develop the tracking and alerting, conflict filtering, compliance, the cost of that is going to be astronomical. For somebody to, if you went to, the app pros or Tech Savvy and said, hey, will you build this for me? I'd be like, yeah, sure. It'd be about $25,000 to $50,000. Just write a check and we'll get started. Whereas this, they just have a month-to-month cost. If 6 months from now they don't want to do it anymore, they stop.
How effective do you think you'd be for doing background checks for businesses?
I would think not as. There are other. I've never actually even thought of that, but so this is just thinking off the top of my head. I know there's other companies out there that just do background checking, which I think would be more encompassing than just this service. But that's something to consider for sure.
I have a question about the mailing distribution. Now, are these documents that are sent on behalf of the attorney to prospect?
Yeah.
Now, does that limit the amount of attorneys you can have within a certain range? So, for example, if you had 50 clients in Springfield and one person got a DUI, how do you prevent 50 different letters going to the same address?
Exactly. Yeah. So you don't. So here's the thing. The way that this industry has went for marketing for years and years and years is, there was one really good attorney. Everybody went to them. They couldn't afford that attorney. They went and looked for other attorneys. And then they moved on to, Yellow Pages, and Yellow Pages is kind of going away a little bit, and billboards. And the way that you found clients, is they found you. So they picked up a book and they went and searched. Where this is going is this is going to change the way that people select their lawyers, like the people that want the business, the people that are like, hey, I really want to help people in this. I'm really good at DWIs. I'm going to solicit all DWIs. You get 6 or 7 of these in, ours are going to come first because it's automated, And if you got 6, you're like, okay, well, I guess this is how the legal industry does marketing now, And they're not even going to pick up the Yellow Pages. They're not going to look at billboards. They're not going to call people. They're just going to say, well, I guess these are the 6 people that I need to pick from. I'll pick this guy.
Yeah, you mentioned that one of the markets you're really trying to tap into are the young attorneys and lawyers. Have you guys tossed around the idea of partnering with local law schools, or are there certain laws and regulations that prevent you from doing that?
We're in the in the works of establishing relationships. We met a couple of them at the Solo Legal conference that was just a few months ago. But yeah, absolutely. I think that would be awesome. The one interesting thing about the number of attorneys that are coming in is it's growing quickly. So like the number of new attorneys now, this year, way more than the year before, way more than the year before. So you got a lot of attorneys that are flooding the market, but there's only so much business, So I think this is really the only way that somebody that's a really new attorney can get business outside of advertising on Craigslist or word of mouth.
As far as mail distribution from your side, with you doing the amount of mailings that you do through snail mail, you're able to get a bulk rate discount. Do you carry those savings to, as far as, of course, stamps are
They're expensive. Yeah, they're very expensive.
Hey, Austin, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, so he asked if, our third party that we go through is Ozark Mailing Services, and the question was, do we take a cut of that, or do we pass it on to the people? We pass it on to the people. We're not a part of that pie at all. We just negotiate a really awesome rate for them, and then we say, hey, if you're going to subscribe to Platinum, hey, cool, here you go. Here's an awesome rate. Probably going to do it cheaper, because the cost of sending out a piece of mail, not only do you have your envelope and then, sending it, the stamp, printing, and all that stuff, but you also have the time associated with, like actually putting the piece of paper in there and then putting that in the mail. It's normally cheaper to just have somebody take care of that, and then you just don't have to think about it.
So from the marketing perspective, you said 6 of your companies could possibly be sending basically these mail pieces to them. The open rate for mail pieces is around between 2 and 5% is what it typically comes down to. Have you looked at the side of figuring out how to collect like emails or other phone numbers for that side of aspect of it, and or creating a follow-up service, possibly helping people develop the creative to stand out from those 6 people?
So there's that would be a gray area if we were sending out email. The Missouri Supreme Court has ruled on sending out mail to people, but we don't want to get in any gray area. So that was one of the several reasons we created Client Tracker. So you already have the ability to contact people by email or phone if you know them. You can call them anytime you want to as a lawyer. So we built the ability for you to put in first name, last name, and then you just get an alert as soon as that comes into the system. You get an alert on your phone. Oh, cool. Dial them in your phone book, or send it to your paralegal and have them get in touch with them. Does that answer your question?
Awesome.
Okay,
Before we
okay.
go here, you included on your last slides mentor partner, and so rather than using the word investor, kind of describe what this ideal mentor partner would be to get you to the next step.
Okay, so somebody that has experience with taking a software as a service platform, from doing pretty okay to doing extremely well. So there are several steps, from being a successful business to being an extremely successful business. We don't know what those steps are for software as a service, So somebody that has direct experience building a real-world software as a service web application like this, from being a kind of a startup company to a successful company.
We'll wrap up here. What can we as a community do for you?
Keep being awesome. Thanks so much for having me, guys. Yeah.